We are the ones that live behind the bars of our own creation. And as soon as we can move them out and thereby find outrageously awesome things, believe in them happening to us, then they can't happen to us because it would break our beliefs. It would blow our little minds. We're here to dance and to play and to love. Something else I wrote once in a note from the universe, something about enlightenment, it has a really bum rap, it connotes some yogi sitting on a cliff in solitary confinement, humming and oming with birds and bumblebees and butterflies, it's rainbows and unicorns. It's like, no, a truly enlightened person is going to be out there getting it on, having fun, knocking on doors, turning over stones. Every day is this unending parade of surprises that would take your breath away. Brand new friends, discovering what you're good at, answering questions that have vexed humanity forever. Enlightenment has been misunderstood. I really believe that. When you start on a journey for a brand new big dream, which is always exciting in the beginning and then kind of really daunting, and then the next day you're like, oh, what was I thinking about? One of the things that psychs us out so much in the beginning of a journey is, we get excited about the end result, and then we go knock on doors and turn over stones and make cold calls and try to write the book with a clean sheet of paper. It's just like, oh, what was I thinking about? I was delusional. I don't have the resources. I don't have the budget. I don't have the expertise. My ducks are not in a row. But once you start, the ducks come scurrying. You summon the resources you need to complete the journey that were not there when you started, which means to create a dream come true, you need to take action on it, even though your ducks have not lined up, even though you don't know how your dream will come true.
Hey friend, I just wanted to thank you so much for stopping by and tuning into the podcast. It means the world to me. There are a lot of great podcasts out there, so it's truly an honor that you've decided to take the time out of your day to listen to mine. I'm really excited to bring on more and more inspirational guests for you. But before we get into it, I wanted to ask you a huge favor. If you're enjoying the show, would you please be so kind as to hit that subscribe button? I've noticed that over 98% of the people that watch our videos aren't subscribed, and subscribing really helps the algorithm put this episode in front of other people who it could help. And be sure to leave a comment sharing what most connects with you. So much love.
Mike Dooley. Oh my gosh, you guys, we are here with the universe. The universe is just casually popping in with us this week. Lucky us. Mike, I'm going to read your short bio from one of your books. Sure. Mike Dooley, if you don't already know him, where have you been? He's a New York Times bestselling author whose books have been published in 27 languages. We have a great international group here, so that's good news for us. He's also a late blooming first-time husband and father who's now living, loving, and learning, love that, in Orlando, Florida. So you're my fellow Floridian too, Mike, which is pretty wonderful. And Mike, you had 2 books come out in the last couple of months. Do you want to just give us like a minute of background on these 2 babies?
Sure. Well, Susie, thank you for having me. It's great to be in your energy. I've been writing full-time now for 20 years. The core of what I offer is disseminated through notes from the universe, little brief emails, as you know, that subscribers, almost 1 million subscribers now get every day of the week. And the book that just came out, The Complete Notes from the Universe, is actually the complete first 600. Thousands of others exist. That's it. Mm-hmm. And they have earlier been released as a hardback book. This edition is a compilation, a bind up of the first 3 volumes as one trade paperback. That came out about 2 months ago. And then one of my latest books with Hay House, one of my publishers, is a book of advice and thoughts, just really succinct, to the point ideas for my daughter for when she's an adult. Because I know well that family are the last to read my work. I think this is not uncommon. Dad. So I thought if I had one book that I would just beg her to read that said almost as much as my other 16 books combined, what would it look like? What would it be? And it's the one you held up, the yellow book, A Beginner's Guide to the universe. It has, I think, 7 or 8 letters to my daughter that are kind of universal. And then just under 500 life lessons, most of which I think are a little bit deep and unexpected, unpredictable. But it's not follow your dreams or believe in yourself. That's for somebody else to say. I try to share wisdom in a way that kind of grabs your attention and sticks with you for at least, a couple of days.
Oh, and Mike, this is what you do. And I was speaking to a friend about you because I tell all of my friends about you. I'm like, you don't get notes from the universe. A friend told me about you. No, my friend introduced me to your work last year, and I was like, where have I been? These notes. So I was saying to another friend of mine, because we were discussing, this interview, and she was like, he really is tapped into something, because she likes to write, I like to write, and we could not create these notes the way that you do, with your irreverence, with, it seems like always a relevance, a timeliness, a depth that also feels light. There is some divine channeling. Something is happening here, because it's very clever how these they go straight to our heart. That's certainly my experience. So
it's wonderful to hear. Thank you.
Do you feel in that space when you're writing them? Like, are you?
I have been so aware of the fact that they seem beyond me, but that's kind of been negated by my analytical, egotistical left brain, knowing that in truth, I've hammered them all out. And sometimes a 2 or 3 sentence email, which some are that short, many are that short, might have taken me 4 or 5 hours to do.
I believe
so
it.
I'm not channeling the way Neil Donald Walsh or many others channel. They just, but nevertheless, by the end of my arduous process, I'm usually equally astounded at what came out and how well, and if I may say, clever it came out. And we're all channels, Susie. We all, this is being channeled right now. You're channeling right now. Our words and our thoughts are not a function of our mouths and our brains. We are instruments through which spirit is allowed to flow through. And we each have our own way and are learning our own ways to kind of access divine mind. And it's there for all of us.
It is there for all of us. In fact, what I'd love to do during this time together is read some of my favorite notes that I've highlighted. But one message that I got, especially from this book, The Beginner's Guide to the Universe, is almost something that I think isn't really discussed very much, which is often like positivity, optimism. I'm definitely on that side of the scale when it comes to how I live my life. And it's not because I've been without suffering. Often I believe that those of us who've suffered almost do take things a bit less seriously in some ways, or have an easier approach to challenges because maybe we're more familiar with them. But one thing that I really found different and refreshing was how you said, and I highlighted in story this, my friends, pay no attention to those who say life is meant to be hard. And often I feel as if too, as a coach, because I share a lot of information around choosing your reactions and everything being an interpretation, the power that we have. But I think that sometimes that's received as naivety. Would you agree with that? Forgive my dog. She's just living her best life.
I love dogs. Say that question again. What about the naivety?
Sometimes it's perceived as naivety. Optimism, positivity, so even like with COVID, just as a current example, I'm looking for the gifts, looking for the lessons. And often I think, and it's even been proven, Mike, that if someone writes a negative review about a restaurant, a book, an experience, it's perceived as more intelligent than someone who has a positive review. And like you, I will only find the positive. And so what do you say to anyone who says, oh yeah, naive Mike, naive Susie?
It's kind of heartbreaking, but it so typifies where the mindset of the world is collectively right now, because collectively we create what's going on in the planet, and just as an individual creates what's going on in their lives. But as I've shared so many times, so many people, that we are alive right now at a very primitive time, spiritually speaking, in the arc of the evolution of consciousness. And how do I make such a sweeping statement? I mean, just look at us. You know, most people think God's an old, angry white man. It's like, come on, you got to be, that's naive. Or most, the other group of people think life is a random chance accident. It's like, you know, if you're not around that learning curve yet, you know, peace and love to you. But that is the height of naivety, and that's being extremely kind. When you simply stop and look, I'm looking out the window now at nature and the woods and the species and the harmony and the unending miracles that surround us always. It's like almost excruciating. And somebody not clued into that, which is the majority of the world at this primitive time, just because they're all missing it, that indicates how primitive things are. They hear us comment on the miracles or the silver lining with the implication that there's meaning and order and love everywhere, because there is, and it's obvious when you see it. And they call us out as naive. It's like the pot calling the kettle black. I can only have sympathy for the person who just doesn't see the unending parade of miracles that are in every single one of our lives. So call it perception, call it soul age, call it whatever, but we all have that chance to observe and draw conclusions. And to anybody who thinks life is hard, God is angry, people are jerks, they have not thought long enough nor witnessed close enough the beauty that's absolutely everywhere.
It can make you weep, really, if you think about it.
And we need to have this conversation all the time, you and I and everybody, because, you know, I get swept away by the current sometimes, and ain't it awful when I watch the news and the divisiveness and the politics. So, you know, there's not a lot of steady shores in the world today, and therefore we have to do that for ourselves, but with a pause, a reflection, at the observation, we can readily right the sinking ship.
Oh my gosh. One thing that I love to believe too, and I think a lot of people would never even consider this, is 80% of the world is water, right? And we don't even know, apparently, 90% of the species that exist underwater. And yet we feel like we know enough to be cynical.
Like the ocean.
Yes, but when you consider the perfect order, how the earth rotates, all of these incredible things, and in your book you share too, all the invisible tiny miracles that line up day to day that we never really see. Especially if we don't practice appreciation. I mean, I even just think about how I met my husband. We were at a concert. We both almost didn't go. It was so everything about it seemed so random, and it was perfect.
It was anything but random.
Anything but random.
I met my wife, who spoke no English, and we got along like a house on fire 11 years ago and to this day. And it's like, not random, not an accident.
So we have a history with the universe, right? And I think that when we look back for evidence of this is where we do find our own steadiness, right? Because we love to take score very soon if something's not working out our way. Right? We're like, well, that was a failure. I was screwed over. This is bad. This is terrible. This was a mistake. This was a failure. Maybe sometimes I'm convinced, Mike, that we're measuring too quickly because time reveals so much. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. And we not only do we measure too quickly, but we use virtually our physical senses alone to the exclusion of intuition and knowing better. And so, you know, it's either right or it's wrong. It's either close or it's far. But our physical senses can't see literally the energy and the serendipities and the miracles that are swirling all around. You know, that makes me think of a message I once wrote, something to the effect of, you know, always wish for the best for all involved. And then no matter what happens, know it was for the best for all involved. Despite the fact that, you know, maybe Aunt Matilda died of cancer, but maybe she was ready, and maybe her slow and long parting evoked and stimulated appreciation and love in the hearts of those who were near to her that could not have been awoken any other way. And again, with the presumption that her life lessons had been achieved, and she's now basking in the palm of God's hand in some nether world. And so So we can think, well, I prayed for Grandma Matilda and she died, as if death was such a bad thing. It's like you're using your physical senses. She was here, now she's not, must be bad. It's like, no. She's rocking it. She's young again. She's happy. She's fulfilled. Whatever hurt has been healed. And now it's still game on for us in the sunshine of time and space.
And you say, Mike, too, that the universe isn't perfect part-time. It's not like, oh, that wedding was good, my job's good, so yeah, the universe is doing a good job over here. But over here, there are some mistakes.
Exactly. Thank you for being such a good student and good reader.
I am a loyal student. Okay, I want to just randomly open a couple of the book, like both books, and I thought we would discuss some of my favorite. I mean, if you saw how highlighted this book was, okay, this is a great one. The speed with which any dream may be realized is always a function of how small the miracles have to be in order to not freak out the dreamer. May I say that when I released my first book, I had a specific goal for a specific podcast I wanted to be on. And I was like, why didn't that, like at the time I was like, why isn't this working out? I'm doing everything. I'm pitching. I've got an excellent system for that. It's a fit. What's up? And then it turned out with my second book release, they actually came to me. And I realized I wasn't actually ready for the interview the first time. There's no way I could have seen that in the moment, but I think that would have freaked out the dreamer at the time. So the miracle couldn't come to me because I wasn't ready, and the universe was wiser than I was because my ego was like, "Oh, I'm definitely ready. Why isn't it happening?" And so, could you explain this one to us a little more? That the miracles can only match us if we're not going to freak out.
Well, I think the point is on. But the reality is, even deeper than that message, is that the universe isn't really deciding, is Susie ready or not, or is Mike ready or not. Mm-hmm. We are, and we are part of the universe. We are the eyes and the ears of the divine. And yet, if we're thinking, unbeknownst to ourselves, that I want this, but, I can only believe in this. Mm-hmm. Well, that's the same as saying that anything beyond what I can believe in, I'm not ready for. I would freak out. It would clash with my view of what's possible and the nature of reality, and therefore it can't happen. So that's an example of, the plain truth of it is you can't exceed what you believe is possible. But people have heard that before, and it's not as much fun as saying, like, you just can't freak out. The universe can't let you freak
Yes.
It's yourself out. So same exact benchmark, same exact parameters. But we are the ones that live behind the bars of our own creation. And as soon as we can move them out and thereby find outrageously awesome things, believe in them happening to us, then they can't happen to us because it would break our beliefs. It would blow our little minds.
Is it only our resistance then that's preventing us from the vision that we have in any life area? Is it always us?
It's fashionable to say that we're afraid of our own successes. And Marianne Williamson has that beautiful, beautiful poem. But I don't think, I think that's a very romanticized way of looking at it. It's like, oh, I'm just afraid of how great I am. I'm just afraid of being too successful. Oh, I think people would love to believe that that's their problem. I think it's not that we have a problem or a fear of how successful we might be, but just really and truly, as simple as can be, we might not see ourselves as worthy. We might not see ourselves as prepared enough. We might not feel like we suffered enough. We might not feel, and I think in the end, the real answer to your question and the real question is we are alone. We alone are the reason that things don't happen as fast as we sometimes would like, or as big as we would like. It's not God. It's not fate or karma or destiny. It's us and our beliefs, which is really great news. Because if it was sometimes our beliefs and sometimes karma and sometimes ancient spiritual contracts and sometimes the will of God or the universe's schedule, it's like, oh, Jesus, who could possibly track all those spinning plates? The great news is it's just you and what you will allow or not allow. Granted, there needs to be some maneuvering room in and out of the beliefs of 7.5 billion other co-creators. But when it comes to happiness or health or even financial wealth, oh, the floodgates have been open our entire life. It's just get out of your own way.
For someone who thinks, I've wanted a baby for a long time, or I'm ready to finally make $1 million in my business, or I really do want to take that trip or meet that life partner, whatever it may be. And they say, no, I'm not resistant. I'm really open, right? And you say in your books too that our beliefs just show up everywhere. Like just look at what's showing up and you'll see there's information there. What's your advice for someone to accelerate then their desires if they're not fully conscious or aware of the resistance and how that works?
I would say don't be looking for problems or reasons. Don't try to justify that it's you or that it's not you or it's God or it's karma. It's like, you know what you want. You've defined it wisely. You're not hinging your happiness on someone else's behavior, or things like that, or messing with the hows, limiting the universe's ability to surprise you in other ways. And the universe is a metaphor here as well. So know what you want, phrase it wisely, do something about it, and then that's it. Then just enjoy the journey. And if you get pregnant in 6 weeks or in 6 years, or if it doesn't happen the way you thought it would, or it's time to adopt or reconsider, then so be it. But don't put off your happiness for some benchmark. Be happy in the journey anyway. And then the benchmark is less important, it's less stress, and it's more likely to come to pass because you're not so freaked out conditioning your happiness and your happily ever after on a set of circumstances that you think are the end all and be all. Just get out of that judgment zone. And I can appreciate that is a very tricky thing for a woman or a man who is looking for their partner and wanting to start their family, and they feel that it's maybe beyond their control or that there's some unknown reason things aren't happening. It's like, don't pass judgment. Don't say it's not working. Don't say it's God or the universe. Just get happy now, today. And as I teach, number one, don't just have wisely defined end results. But that's really critical, and I've got books on it, and it's not that complex, just let it be out there, broad brush, abundance, friends, laughter, family. Okay, the universe can do that. If you say Trixie by December 31 and $1 million from my best-selling book, it's like you have eliminated millions of other ways you could have had love, joy, friends, family. So end results ought to be loose enough that the universe can connect all kinds of dots and blow your mind within your belief framework. And then, all importantly, you need to do what you can with what you got from where you are. You need to physically take action, take baby steps, move in the direction of love, move in the direction of family planning, move in the direction of strategizing these things and looking at all of your alternatives and checking out in vitro, checking out adoption, falling in love and trying to make it happen the more conventional way. Try everything. And then don't limit your joy to that one avenue, because any parent will tell you that there's still so much more to life than your role as a mom or a dad. And I'm not taking away from that. I'm so happy as the late blooming dad that I am. But and this is not like, about me, but I always thought marriage was an old, antiquated system that was man-made. I still think that. I always kind of thought, probably not me. I would love a meaningful lifetime relationship, but whether or not I get married, probably not me. And if that doesn't happen, and it wasn't for decades and decades of my adult life, I'm going to look at other things in this beautiful world. I'm going to work on my business, work on myself, understand the nature of reality. And the same with kids. It was like, if I have kids one day, that will be amazing. And if I don't have kids one day, that will be amazing. And that was, I kind of thought I would and wanted to have kids, but I was so diversified in the pursuit of my own happiness and the development of my own being and character that I wasn't going to let my life be hijacked or my happiness be hijacked, I should say, because of some unfulfilled wish that didn't come to pass. And by focusing on the rest of my life it really took off as a writer, speaker, and doing all that I do now. And not only did it take off, but it brought me so much more joy, which makes a person, a candidate, much more desirable to future partners if your life is rocking and you are joyful, which neither will happen if you're like, I want a baby and I can't have it and my clock's ticking. It's like, it is what it is. Accept, allow, don't surrender, but do all else that I've been saying.
Yeah, one thing that I appreciate about your work, and I think that it sometimes is a bit absent in other kind of manifestation practices or literature that I've come across, is you really are a huge fan of action taking. You say proceed anyway, endlessly, and I completely agree with you. I think there's such magic another one. No matter what you may go after in life, getting what you want will always boil down to at least a little bit of divine intervention, your own. Oof.
Oh.
But it's really true. And I think, Mike, I'm a real go-getter, a real action taker. I don't want to think too much. I think thinking can be the enemy. And I feel like with action, clarity is revealed. The next steps are revealed. And I think it's been rewarding in a lot of ways. But I know a lot of people think, oh no, you just got to dream about it and the checks will, the checks will like come under the door, or I don't know, through the window or out of the trees. And what do you say about do you think that if there are two people and they're taking the same action, but one is more aligned, the result is going to be sped up? Or do you think that the action itself is enough? How does action play into manifestation?
Action in the general direction of your dreams is kind of a corroboration of the dream. It's kind of a nod to the dream. Inaction is a massive contradiction. Whether it was intelligent inaction, like this is a choice to do nothing and allow it to come into me. There's some wisdom there. Or maybe it's naivety or laziness. Nevertheless, thoughtful or supposedly thoughtful or not, inaction is a contradiction to any dream, and it is, in my book, a contradiction to life. We're here to dance and to play and to love. Something else I wrote once in a note from the universe, something about enlightenment. It has a really bum rap. It connotes some yogi sitting on a cliff in solitary confinement, humming and oming with birds and bumblebees and butterflies, it's rainbows and unicorns. It's like, no, a truly enlightened person is going to be out there getting it on, having fun, knocking on doors, turning over stones. Every day is this unending parade of surprises that would take your breath away. Brand new friends, discovering what you're good at, answering questions that have vexed humanity forever. Enlightenment has been misunderstood. I really believe that. And so for the person that has a dream who moves with it, it's not only enforcing and sometimes installing empowering beliefs that say, yes, this is me. It's happening now. It's underway. Can't you see I'm out there in the world? I mean, what's a more positive demonstration that you believe in yourself than moving towards the dream? So not only do you rewire your entire brain to the empowerment of your beliefs that this is happening, it's underway, just look at me, but you're out there in the world where your end results, your desires and dreams that were wisely stated, have summoned magic, miracles, best friends, serendipities, so-called coincidences that cannot reach you if you're at home meditating with a vision board or on a cliff with butterflies. It's like your dream's not going anywhere. It's not happening. So you enforce positivity, you increase believability, you become a lightning rod for so-called miracles. There ain't no such thing. It's just us being divine. And a third thing, I was just writing about this today for something else. When you start on a journey for a brand new big dream, which is always exciting in the beginning and then kind of really daunting, and then the next day you're like, oh, what was I thinking about? One of the things that psychs us out so much in the beginning of a journey is, we get excited about the end result, and then we go knock on doors and turn over stones and make cold calls and try to write the book with a clean sheet of paper. And it's just like, oh, what was I thinking about? I was delusional. I don't have the resources. I don't have the budget. I don't have the expertise. My ducks are not in a row. But once you start, the ducks come scurrying. You summon the resources you need to complete the journey that were not there when you started, which means to create a dream come true, you need to take action on it, even though your ducks have not lined up, even though you don't know how your dream will come true. And the analogy I love to share, the mama duck, she's going to cross the road or swim across the pond. She does not wait for the baby ducks to line up because they never, ever, ever flipping wood. Mama just goes, and then the little ducks are like, ooh, and they all get in a line. And it's the same with our ducks. They're not lining up. If you're waiting for your ducks to line up, you will wait until you die because they're not. But you just go and they fall in line. And of course, death, as I speak of it, is just, one door closing, another one opening. There's no such thing as death. We're all eternal beings of light.
Mike, one thing that I feel like I know that what you're saying is true. I know it. It's not an opinion. I just feel like I feel like it's something that we all know almost at some level. But if you want to believe in it, it just requires a bit of courage and work on your part. So it's easier sometimes to say. So for example, Mike, I speak very openly about the fact that I grew up on welfare, that I have a very unusual family where there's mental illness and addiction. And I moved to New York when I was 25. I managed to get a really great job, high paying, all the bells and whistles. I then transitioned out into my own business where I've had a lot of my dreams come true without a college degree, without any connections, without a family that can typically support, without any of the things that you often think are necessary for success. So I know that I take action and I do believe. And the ducks, I've seen it so many times in my life and other people's lives when you observe and the magic is there. Tell me what you think about this. My number one value is having fun. So I just want to have a good time all the time and no matter what's happening. And the way that I sometimes envision it in my mind is like the good things, everything you want is such a high light vibration, right? And being fun or feeling easy, feeling breezy, feeling lighter puts you up there almost where you can be found. Does that... You probably say it in a far more eloquent way than you do with all of your notes, but I believe that too, having fun is a bit of a magic component that people overlook because we're all so serious.
Oh, I totally agree. No, you said it pretty well, Susie. I think the ultimate end result in life, the ultimate dream in life is not love. But love is misunderstood. Love is a given. You can't not be living a life bathed in love. We all are. We think of love as something that's a variable, that it might be there, it might not. It's something you choose or you don't choose. That's not what love is. That's something different. That's man-made. So the ultimate end result that is a variable is happiness. There's nothing superior to a dream than being happy. And contrary to many people's fears, that doesn't mean, well, I'm happy, but I'm broke. I'm happy, but I'm sick. True happiness implies that all of the cylinders in your life are firing. If you're dwelling upon happiness, and fun is the fast track to happiness is what I'm getting at. If you're dwelling on happiness and you're physically doing something about it, remember that congruency we just talked about, it will draw to you the sufficient financial resources, however great or astronomical, for you to be happy on your terms. And if you're a person with very expensive taste or could quite like getting there and you move in that direction, it will be added unto you. If your vision of happiness implies health, it always does, then health will be a much easier objective for you to manifest. If happiness implies friendships and camaraderie, joy and support by others, and it does, then these two will be pressed to you. Happiness is the only dream or end result that attracts everything else to you, because you can't be truly happy the way I'm talking about it right now if you're broke, if you're sick, if you're lonely, if you're bored, if you're unfulfilled. So happiness checks all the boxes. I have the day-long workshop, a week-long workshop, everything. It's all about the importance of happiness, how to define it, and how to move with it. And it's not hard. It's really easy. So to meet somebody who is motivated by fun is a person who totally gets that happiness is the ultimate end result. I mean, fun is another way of expressing or speaking of what joy truly is. And so it's not, it's something to celebrate and to give yourself credit for. You're past that stage, I trust, of believing that, well, I got to pay my dues, and well, some things aren't fun, but you got to do them anyway. And it's like, no, none of that was ever true, unless you believed it was. So it's the fast track. It's the highest road to spiritual enlightenment and all other good things.
And it's so funny because this reminds me of another note that you wrote, which said something along the lines of, if you want to dance, take a beat, like you could do it now. It's always available. It's not like there'll be a day where I can just breathe, like I'm just going to get through all of this. You said something along the lines of, well, guess what? Like it's always available. You can do it wherever you are with what you have. And I feel like this is such an important thing for me to keep conveying, because most people just don't think that's possible, and to be having fun. It's like, oh, that's not very adult-like, or we should be quite serious over here worrying about all the things that can go wrong, or we should be anticipating all of the setbacks that we can be having in the next 10 years versus, I mean, one thing that I love about life, Mike, is just its unpredictable nature, right? We don't know anything. We can't even predict the next 24 hours. So if you're not having a good time, we're kind of missing the point.
Yeah.
As you say.
Right.
As you say.
So good.
This is what you always cover in your notes. Okay, I'm going to flick to another one. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. Oh, I could say this for all of them. When someone treats you differently than you expected, it's usually because you've been sending out mixed signals. Ooh, that one can be a little hard to swallow if you feel like, oh no, I was disrespected. Oh, I'm not getting the credit I deserve, or whatever it may be. Can we speak about this one for a moment?
Oh my gosh, that's one of my personal favorites as well. Everything is a reflection of our energy, our focus, our vibration, however woo-woo somebody might call it. We have a focus, and our thoughts become things, the things and events, circumstances and comments and serendipities of our life. Yes, the unexpected happens all the time. Yes, the unthought of happens all the time, but always as a means to get you to a further place down the path that you were thinking about and that you were focusing on. Sometimes we're drawn through unthought of territory to get to that place that we were thinking of. Somebody could say, well, I'm planning on having a really nice trip to London, and it's going to be great, and everybody's going to be nice. But if they also have a belief that God is angry and people are mean, but they're going to have a really nice trip in London, and when it comes to their thoughts about London, all they're doing is thinking of, having tea with the Queen and whatever. These other thoughts of theirs, which totally contradict, having fun in London, will also go with them on that trip. And there'll be unexpected bumps and bruises. And I didn't think of that. And why did they cut me off in traffic? And why are people such jerks? Well, because I thought they were, and I believed, and I prepared, and I safeguarded against the imbeciles. Even though those thoughts had nothing to do with your trip to London, there's a major contradiction. And so whenever somebody says something factual or unfactual, there is something to it that you elicited from them, whether it's a belief that people are idiots, or a belief that people are rude, or a belief that you're vulnerable, or a belief something in some other kind of belief that doesn't serve you. And that doesn't mean that every slight or negative comment is rooted in your core beliefs. Sometimes stuff happens, and if you believe that stuff just happens every now and then, well, then stuff will happen every now and then in your life. And it doesn't necessarily have this profound meaning of a belief that's conflicted and you need to fix it. Otherwise, until everybody's serving you tea and crumpets, you've got a problem. It's like, no, don't overread into that. But everything is a reflection of our thoughts and energies, one way or another.
And you say too that if something is not showing up how you want it to, there's a little bit of work to do, or there's something being revealed to you about maybe a belief. It's how, because it has to show up somehow, right? We can't just guess, oh, what are my beliefs? It's like, well, what areas are a bit messy, or what area aren't I satisfied, or what isn't changing? What advice do you have when it comes to belief transformation? Or kind of if something's just showing up, like no matter what, you can't do the thing, like, or haven't been able to yet.
Yeah, that's a great question because it brings in a lot of tangents here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example of how we do that and how we can avoid sabotaging ourselves with well-intentioned questions like the ones you just brought up.
Mm-hmm.
About 20 years ago, at the end of a t-shirt business that I ran with my mother and brother that was booming great guns for 10 years. The trends were declining. We liquidated. We were ahead financially by a couple $100,000. We each had mortgages. We weren't financially set, but we got out when we could without going down with the ship. Mm-hmm. Whether it was right or wrong, that's a different story. Mm-hmm. But at that point, I was 40 years old. And I was faced with starting my life over. I had no idea what I would be starting. I had zero career momentum. I didn't want to go back into the t-shirt business. And I lamented unendingly for like, what's wrong with me? Like, how could I be 40? I know that thoughts become things. That was one of our best-selling t-shirts. I'm a divine creator. And, and I remember catching myself. If you go down that path, Mike, looking for what's wrong with you, even though the evidence was overwhelming that I had issues. I had no relationship. My house wasn't paid for. I had no money coming in. I had no idea how to make money. I was like, everything, the painting on the walls was bad to the physical senses. I remember thinking, if you go down that path trying to figure out what's wrong with you, you will find a lot. And you will be so embroiled in all that's wrong with you. You're going to need a team of highly skilled people, psychiatrists, psychologists, life coaches, to kind of get you through this ordeal, given your baggage and your problems and your contradictions. You'll be lucky to survive this if you go down that path. Instead, I remember thinking, F it. I don't know how I created this mess, seeming mess, but at the time it was just a mess. I don't know how I created this, but I know how life works. I know that my thoughts become things. I know dreams come true. I know that there's no God passing judgment on me. There's no devil in hell. There's no hell. I'm pushed on to greatness. So I got vision boards going. I got into some, creative visualization, affirmations, and I had big dreams of, wealth and abundance and friends and laughter and international travel. And I assessed my sucky options and I just got busy, because if I had a good option, I wouldn't have been in that place. I would have been playing that good option, making the money, climbing the ladder. Mm-hmm. So, and I remember thinking, just don't even think about how you got here. It hurts too much and it looks too ugly. You know how life works. Start dreaming, start taking baby steps, show up, knock on doors, ask for help, do all these things you know to do. Mm-hmm. And while the months went by so slowly, Susie, to the point of like 2 years, and my financial life savings were like approaching zero. Mm-hmm. Like, am I going to lose my house? Will I have to sell it? What if I have to sell it, but there's no buyer? I mean, it was as bleak and dire and scary as it could be. But at the same time, for all that I had done in the 2 years leading up to that, I had this website. I was sending out emails for free, speaking for free, notes from the universe for free, but an audio program that caught the wind and that blasted off and that blew up. And my subscriber base expanded. I went on a self-proclaimed world tour. Aren't they all? I was invited to be in The Secret, The Law of Attraction. Mm-hmm. And then I woke up literally one day. I was like, holy crap, I'm living the life of my dreams. At what point? There was no clear line that I crossed. It was a slow metamorphosis from my life sucked and was a train wreck to holy crap, the money is pouring in. I'm traveling all over the world. I love what I do, talking about the nature of reality, writing these notes from the universe. And I was just like, how did this happen? And how it seemed before I got to that realization that it wasn't happening. And I would bemoan my misfortune to my mom, and I would bum cigarettes off of her, and like, where's the universe and the magic? And then all of a sudden it was like, I realized it had happened, and I was like, oh my God, I would have waited 12 years for what I was then experiencing, much less 2. And my feeling was it happened so fast, even though during the 2 years, it felt like 2 decades. And all of a sudden, everything was rewired. And then, Susie, I look back and I thought, well, what was it that created that train wreck of my life? Obviously, I'm pretty hot stuff. Obviously, I'm a good manifester. How did the bottom drop out there? And then I realized, like, holy mackerel. I was writing about life, dreams, and happiness in the metaphysical way for a t-shirt gift company that I owned with my mother and brother. And we sold my writings with fishies and palm trees in souvenir markets alone in the United States and to a degree abroad. And my greatest wish was that I could write full time and reach more people, travel in abundance with friends and laughter. And when the train wreck happened, so-called, I felt like I had zero momentum. I had zero idea of what to do next. I had nothing. But within 2 years, I was writing full time. I was making a lot of money. I was traveling the world. I had friends on every continent. It was like when the bottom dropped out and the train supposedly crashed, it was just stopping. My train stopped so that it could change tracks. And it was the beginning of the biggest dream of my life coming true. And when it changed tracks and I was able to jettison these other things that were in my life at the time that were not supportive of me being a full-time writer, I just blasted off and went further, faster, better, higher than my wildest dreams. Yet, to the physical senses, having liquidated the business and not knowing what comes next and trying to be the micromanager I had always been up until that time, it was like, it was all bad. And had I gone down that path, I would have found that I was a broken man. And it was because of my mom and my dad and the this and the that and the school and my evil friends who made fun of me, and I was bullied and I was picked on, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. But instead, even though I could have found problems, I instead focused on strengths and my understanding of reality, and I just worked it, man. I just worked it. And then it was like spontaneous combustion over 2 years. Spontaneous is a relative word. Combustion, it was the beginning. The whole thing was a big, huge dream coming true that couldn't come true with the track I was on. It was all good. So does that answer your question? Am I deluding myself? Am I going the wrong way? How do I have faith? It's not working out. It is working out. It's always working out. It never stops working out.
Isn't it fascinating? Because I can imagine a lot of people in that 2-year period, right? Because I'm sure you had dark moments in those 2 years, right? Oh. It's even on the track for starting over and creating the life that you have now. I think a lot of people never fully follow through. They'll just always look for the other type of evidence. Yep, see, people are crooks. Yep, see, can't trust anybody. Yep, see, the economy's screwed. We're all screwed. Like, whatever it may be. So do you think it's fair to say that there is no exact truth that exists apart from the fact that we're all love here, and whatever just simply is going to get your attention is like you're on a carriage in like one or two directions? Well, there are many directions, but is it as simple as that? Because if someone was just observing you, someone who maybe doesn't describe themselves as spiritual or into any of this stuff, if they saw Mike getting busy, right? I'm going to write now. The creativity is coming. I'm taking action, asking for help, etc. They would just say he's an action-oriented man. He's taking action. Like he is doing the thing that we all must do to succeed. We've got to work hard. Like, what's your how do you kind of I'm thinking exactly what my question is to phrase it simply.
I got it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So please speak on that for me.
So what if there is no truth? What if you can look at it from a number of different ways, and it would always fit somebody's philosophy? And it's like, well, this happens to be a topic that's near and dear to my heart, so I have a lot to say on it. I will keep it short. But the pressure point here is the word truth. And to kind of get what you're alluding to, I would say I totally agree. all these ideas of what the truth could be. You could make them work in a number of different ways. So you could say there's no truth, except, for me, the pursuit of understanding the nature of reality is my greatest bliss. It's been on my radar since I was probably 12, no exaggeration. I've led a very conventional life, always to use the truth to my favor, to learn who I am, why I'm here, what I can do with my time and space, to get it on, to have fun, be happy, get rich, have friends and laughter. That was always the motivation. It was not just some theoretical, what is the truth? So I wrote in my first New York Times bestseller, Infinite Possibilities, what I believe are the truths of being. Mm-hmm. And these are absolutes, so immovable that even failing a belief in them, they still guide and rule everyone's life. And just, I know you already enough to know that you get the power of beliefs. Mm-hmm. And beliefs are what help us think big thoughts, or they shut us down. Beliefs are almighty. But yet these pillars, these absolute truths, and there's like 5 of them, okay? So it's not a rule or I'm coming up with here. These pillars are so absolute that they create the stage of life on earth. Even if someone totally doesn't believe in them, mm-hmm. these pillars still rule their life. And so what are they? They're so benign. They're so benevolent. They're all so empowering. Nobody needs to be fearing of what I'm going to say. They can even be collapsed probably into 3 truths of being. And these are so absolute. And it's from them that we find our meaning, our purpose, and our power. So they're very, very relevant. So I'm all about, there is a truth. It's absolute. It's your job to figure it out. Okay, we're all one. There's only God, which is where there's only love. Thoughts become things. The law of attraction. We are creators. You bring about what you think about. The other one is, this is a bit trite sounding, but it's all good. Which is to say, there's always order. It's always playing to the greater good. No matter how much we slip and slide, no matter how awful something might be, in the scheme of reality, it's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. So it's all good. And then the 5th one, I'm not even sure I can think of it. It's almost as light as the others. We're all one. We're all connected. I am you. You are me. We are God. God is everything. We are part of everything. There's no separation of the divine. There's just different facets and expression of the divine, including us. So we are one is pretty dang big, and it's echoed in every religion. There's only God, which is, we are one, or call it, there's only love. It's just so beautiful. It's not a variable, as I was saying earlier. So this is kind of the soup that we live in, and it's the what the ocean is to the fish: love, God, intelligence, whatever you want to call it, divine intelligence. Thoughts become things, and then it's all good. I wish I could tell you the 5th one, but it's not some monumental thing.
Yes.
Get the book, Infinite Possibilities. Mm-hmm. The only one of the 5 pillars is that's variable. The only one that's a variable, that's not just like constantly on, is thoughts become things, in the sense that we get to choose our thoughts. So we can focus on what's good and beautiful, or we can focus on what sucks and is miserable. We change our experience, our circumstances, our friends, our health, our prosperity levels based on our focus. This is where we fit into the equation of reality creation. Oops, thank you, Google. This is where we fit into the equation of reality creation. We are thinkers. This is what set the ball in motion for time and space. That we are little mini me's of the divine. We are pure God. God is infinitely more, but we are infinitely more than we realize. So this is a real hot button issue for me. I love to talk about truth because it's so important to be able to hang your hat on something and not say, well, maybe it's God's timing, or maybe it was a past life, or maybe it was this truth, or maybe I didn't work hard enough, or maybe it's like you and you alone. It's you and your thoughts. And if you can think it, you can do it, you can be it, dreams come true. That's why it's in every Disney movie. Not that Disney's the authority, okay?
Yes.
So,
in fact, I always consider that my safety net, Mike. I always think if ever I'm even just in a pickle or something feels like it's going wrong, I know that I have the corrective power. And sometimes I just need a break. And sometimes I think that we can also try and hurry or try and feel good too quickly. Sometimes we need a bit of a pause, but we just come back to this natural state of it's all good.
yeah.
Like you said, that's how before we have a conscious thought in the morning, we wake up okay. In fact, I say, as a coach, all I do is bring perspective. A friend of mine recently was complaining about something, and I was like, why is this complaint happening? It's because you own multiple properties. And because the contractor isn't doing something, it's because you're in a really good position in your life where you're able to have a contractor come and fix something for you. And by the way, you look pretty healthy to me, and your wife's really fantastic. And your Uber's 7 minutes late. Catastrophe. Oh, you have really healthy kids. You life is good. It's so funny how these little spanners, again, this is focus, this is thinking, right? Because then the next thought, the next thought, the next thought. And it's 99% of things are going well. Most of the time, just everything that your body's doing, all the components of the universe.
I would say what you do as a coach is you're bringing people to truth. You're bringing them to these pillars. It's beautiful. You are powerful. We live in paradise. We're hurling through the cosmos on a blue marble. It's good. And true alignment with truth means we've mitigated and dispelled what the Eastern philosophies call Maya, the illusions, the forbidden fruit. And suddenly we move into ecstasy. This is a very real thing. This is what the illustrious ones, the enlightened ones experience 24/7. Just an ecstasy, a lightness of being. All is well. And when we get to that point, and I'm on the cusp, when we get to that point, as I understand it, we literally activate latent, not functions, latent abilities that are in our mind, so that we can fully use 100% of the brain and be totally connected to the divine, God, see through the illusions, just 24/7 bliss. Although it's kind of funny to put bliss on a calendar or on a time frame, it's so human. But
yes,
that's what you do as a coach. That's and that's why I say truth is so worthy a pursuit, because you'll find it's so simple, and there are very few parameters, and there's only one moving part. And when you get to that place, then you stop giving your power away. You stop believing that you're vulnerable. You stop thinking that somebody or something can rob you or take from you. You're an eternal being. You're a forever giant gladiator of the divine. So,
Mike, I could talk to you forever. Do we have time for one more note to close with? Because it's a goodie.
Sure.
Oh my gosh, it's really hard because I could keep going, but here's one I love because it also, I think, embodies your style and the magic of being someone who follows notes from the universe, which everybody must. If you don't, you are missing out. This is critical. I refer very few things with this much enthusiasm. So notes from the universe are a must. This is what you say, Mike. 9 out of 10 old souls agree that one of the very best things about spiritual maturity is appreciating that age is meaningless. The 10th soul, out climbing trees and couldn't be reached. I mean, if that doesn't wrap up our conversation in terms of fun, in terms of allowing, in terms of just the magic, how we can live, how we can feel, how we can. I mean, this is meant to be simple, right, Mike? We like to make it hard.
Simple and fun.
Simple and fun. Mike, where can everybody reach you? You have an incredible membership. I know, of course, these 2 books are a must order, and the proceeds going to charity also. Charity I love too, from Beginner's Guide to the Universe. Incredible. Where else can people find you, Mike? Sign up to all of your stuff and learn more about you.
Sure. TUT.com, TUT, The Universe Talks, just TUT.com. And the notes from the universe that we've been talking about, thank you so much, Susie, are free. So you just sign up with your name, put in a couple of dreams or goals, and sometimes they get spit back out to you from the universe in jest with a light heart. And from there, people will find out about the optional membership or the tours I take folks on or the events I host online or around the world post-pandemic.
Fantastic, Michael. I'll include all of those links too, so you have them. But truly, an hour with the universe, what a privilege, what a blessing. Thank you so much, Mike. This has meant the world to me. Thank you.